Hello and welcome to The Trash, and today I am here to talk about the challenge Dirty 30, which is one of the seasons that Hulu has just released on Hulu. They've released Dirty 30, Vendettas, and Final Reckoning, so I'll be covering all three of those when I watch them. I just finished Dirty 30, so I'm going to give you my raw thoughts on it. I'm going to go through everyone on the cast in the order of which they left the game, and then I have a couple of awards to get to at the end of the video, so sit back and relax, because it's time to review the challenge Dirty 30. Now, I like this season. This is a season that had a lot of good twists to it. Had a good cast. It had a really good cast, except for, like, a few people. But they weren't anything, really. So I think this season, yeah, really good cast, really good format, really good twist to it. So we're going to start with Ashley Mitchell, and she quit very early on, so nothing really to say about her. The next person who left the game, we have Shane Raines. Now, he was DQ'd for a fight he got into with Simone, and yeah, this guy is not someone I really ever need to see back on the challenge. Definitely not after the fight. I mean, the dude bit Devin's arm. He is clearly not in the right place mentally. Similarly, we got Simone, speaking of. Simone is someone I'm also kind of good with never seeing again. I mean, another kind of unstable person when she waved the broken wine bottle in the air. That wasn't great, but I do think she was more stable than Shane. I don't think that Simone started the fight. I think it was definitely Shane that started the fight, even though we never got to see the fight and we just got it described. Yeah, Simone definitely wasn't as bad as Shane when it came to that fight. Next up on the list, we got Devin Walker. Now, I like Devin. I like him in Double Agents right now. He's a funny guy, especially when he's taking all his shots at Josh in the current season, but just strictly talking about Dirty 30, he's still a funny guy, and Devin's the type of guy that, as long as I get to see him on the season, I don't care how far he goes. He could be the first one out, or he could win the season. As long as we get to see Devin, I'm happy. Latoya. She was kind of there. That's about the best I can describe her. She was kind of there. She didn't really do much, so yeah, not really someone I need to see again. Derek Henry. I can't believe this guy was brought back for another season. I mean, what did he do this season? He didn't really do much this season. His main personality trait was being Tory's boyfriend, and even that didn't last till the end of the season. He left on good terms with Tory, but he certainly didn't come into the reunion on good terms with Tory. So yeah, Derek, not really much to talk about with him. I mean, he was okay as a personality. As a player of the game, he just kind of fell flat. Next up, we have Brianna. Now, Brianna was Ashley's replacement, and she came into the game on episode 2, I think. Yeah, she came into the game late because she was Ashley's replacement. And she's another one who was just kind of there. I mean, nothing really much to talk about her, which kind of sucks because she was robbed heavily in Rivals 3. And then she came back and didn't do that well. Darrell Taylor. They didn't really focus on him much either. I mean, at least he has the moniker of coming into the season as the 4-time challenge champion. You know, he's one of the vets of the season. And they just didn't really show him much. He literally says at the beginning of the season that he's the Mike Tyson of the challenge, and then they just kind of forget about him later on. That's Darrell for this season. Next up, we have Amanda. And she was kind of the Redemption House commentator, is what I like to see it as. Sort of like Devin. Devin and Amanda were really the main two people that we heard from during the fight with Shane and Simone. You didn't really hear much from Darrell. You didn't hear much from Latoya. You heard from Amanda and you heard from Devin, obviously, because Shane bit Devin's arm. But Amanda also had a really good idea of what happened, and I think that she should probably come back in the future. I mean, I'm surprised she hasn't come back since War of the Worlds, but that's just the way things happen. Next up, we have Ammo Hall. Underrated. I didn't even know Ammo existed until I watched this season. Because, like, I've heard a lot about this season, but I never heard anyone mentioning Ammo. And I kind of wonder why. Because I liked Ammo. Ammo was cool. I mean, he was able to beat Tony in elimination. Barely, but Tony was beaten by Ammo. That is the thing that happened. And then, obviously, he got beat by Jordan, so that wasn't great. And then he had to be medically DQ'd, or I think he officially quit, because I think he was probably cleared by medical to come back into the game, but he just decided that it wasn't worth it, and he had to put his mental health first, which is totally understandable. Yeah, I'd like to see Ammo back again, but it's very clear that he's not going to come back, mainly because of the whole mental and physical breakdown thing. I wouldn't come back either if I were Ammo, so yeah, that's Ammo. Next up, we have Marie Rhoda. She did not get enough screen time in this season, I think. This season really robbed Marie of her screen time, because I like the way in the second redemption challenge that she just gave up. She just didn't eat the food, and she just kind of stood there. TJ even railed into her about that, which, yeah, it wasn't the best performance, but she knew she wasn't going to be able to win, and she just wasn't going to try. But yeah, Marie, I think maybe she should come back in the future if she feels the need to. Corey Wharton. Now, Corey, this guy. Seeing him in Double Agents and then seeing him in Dirty 30, these are two completely different Corys. The Corey on this season, he was sort of a bigger character towards the beginning, which is strange because he went out pretty early, like relatively early, and they focused on him a lot with the 3 women that came into the house that he had hooked up with previously, if I remember correctly, being Kayla, Camilla, and Anissa. And yeah, they just weren't having it. They formed like a coalition to get rid of Corey, but Corey formed like a counter-alliance with Hunter and Nelson, and that was sort of his main alliance. And obviously Hunter had to take out Nelson because they threw him in there. But Corey, this wasn't his season, honestly. He was portrayed in such a negative light throughout the season. It's astounding how negatively he was portrayed this season. He's on Double Agents currently, but I'd like to see him come back until he gets that win. Nicole Ramos, I think this was Nani's cousin on Battle of the Bloodlines. Yeah, Nicole, I like Nicole this season. Everyone sort of like underestimated her, which I think that's what she was going for. Now, as far as, like, returning, I'd like to see Nicole return, but it's very clear she's not going to at this point in time, so that's probably it for Nicole. Moving on to Nelson, Mr. DQ himself. Yeah, he got DQ'd this season because he shoved Derek. Yep, he just completely lost control of his temper. And it was fun to see, but, like, it was kind of shocking, because watching Double Agents, Nelson's such a calm guy. He's such a smooth, easygoing guy, and to see him completely explode like that, that's kind of not seen in modern Nelson. Might have been back then Nelson, but definitely not modern Nelson, so. Nelson, I'd like to see him keep returning, once again, until he gets that win, kind of like Corey. Next up, we have Anissa, and she came back into the house after being eliminated, along with Hunter, and she is the first person to go to the Redemption House twice this season, I believe, so. Yeah, Anissa had a big role this season, especially with her storyline with Veronica, her stuff with Corey, and nobody wanted to return to the game. I thought that was pretty funny when she did return to the game. And Jemmy's dream about Anissa returning to the game, I thought that was really funny. So, yeah, Anissa, completely different Anissa than Double Agents Anissa, I can tell you that. And I'm pretty sure she's going to be on the Challenge All-Stars, the Paramount Plus exclusive one. So yeah, I'd like to see her return until she actually wins. I don't know how many good challenge seasons she's got left in her. Next up, we have Jemmy herself, and Jemmy was a big character this season. Obviously, she made a pretty deep run this season, and she was pretty close to going home in the Purge, but Jenna saved her. I really didn't care for Jemmy this season. I mean, she's not that interesting of a character, in my opinion. So yeah, Jemmy just really didn't do much for me. That's all I gotta say about Jemmy. I don't really care to see her back. Next up, we have Veronica. Now, Veronica is as OG as OGs come. I believe she debuted in the 3rd season of the challenge ever. So, yeah, she's an OG. Now, Veronica is someone who really screwed over Leroy this season, I can tell you that. Veronica is also someone who was sort of a rogue agent this game. I don't think she had very big elite alliances to anyone. The whole Leroy situation really soured me on Veronica, because I like Leroy, but I do understand that Veronica just, like, wanted her vote to be heard, so. That was a good move, I just didn't like it, so. Veronica, I wouldn't mind seeing her again. Then next we have Britney Thornton. Britney was one of my favorites of the season. She was the best. CT and Bananas were pretty close, but I do think Britney was like the most entertaining of this season. The fact that she went into elimination twice and won was just awesome. Britney, one of my favorites of this season. I do hope she comes back in the future, but I don't know if she will. Next up we have Daario Medrano, and he was kind of a non-factor this season, so I wouldn't really have him back. I mean, I don't know what he has to bring to a challenge season, because he didn't really have much to bring this season, so I wouldn't really care to see Daario back. There's not really much to talk about him. He was kind of there. Next up, we have Leroy, the man himself. Obviously, let's get this right out of the way. I'd love to see Leroy keep coming back until he gets that win, but obviously Double Agents is his last season, so that kind of sucks. He was robbed this season. Veronica robbed him. Britney's vote was just meant to be a burn vote, which I thought was really dumb considering there were still 3 people who had to vote. But no, Britney was throwing a burn vote on Leroy, and Veronica saw it as a perfect opportunity to have her vote be the only one that mattered. And in the end, it was the only one that mattered because it was a tie between Hunter and Leroy, and Veronica just blindsided Leroy and sent him in. Obviously, Derek pulled the double cross and Hunter winning anyway, but Leroy was the one who lost that elimination, so sad to see Leroy go in such a robbery way. Johnny Bananas Devenanzio. What do you say about Johnny Bananas other than he is the face of the challenge? He was even a huge character at the time of this season, and I'm shocked he went as far as he did, because you'd think more people would target him as the 6-time champ he was. Now he's a 7-time champ. And yeah, I always like to see Johnny. I'd love to see him back in the future. Johnny Bananas is just always someone that you want to root for. He's a love to hate kind of character. I know some people just flat out hate him, but I love to hate him. So that's sort of where I'm at on Johnny. He's like Devin. He can be the first one out or he can win. And you still happy because you just like to see Johnny Bananas on the season. So that's my thoughts on Johnny Bananas. Great character. Great villain. And now we get to the final 10. These are the people who were post-Redemption House, if I want to say. Hunter, he came back into the game with Anissa, and Hunter Barfield. Now, he was a very big character this season, a lot more than I was expecting, because in the first few episodes, he really didn't get much content, but then afterwards, cameras on this guy. He took out Corey, Nelson took out him, he won his way back into the game, he took out Leroy, and he made it all the way to the finale, but came up short of making the finals. So Hunter played a heck of a game this season. Obviously, he'd come back for Final Reckoning and War of the Worlds. But yeah, I'd like to see him back again, especially after what happened to him on Final Reckoning. I'd like to see him come back again, see what he's got. Sure. And then next up, we have Tony Raines. Now, Tony is someone I kind of feel bad for. Tony's someone I kind of feel bad for, but also not really. He just needs to stop drinking, honestly. That's when he does bad things, is when he drinks. Obviously, he had the fight with Cara after he was drunk. He was drunk and he hooked up with Camilla, cheated on his girlfriend. Not great, not a great situation to be in, but he made up with his girlfriend eventually, which you love to see. So Tony's someone that, I feel bad for, kinda, but not really. And I'd be rooting for him if they brought him back on a new season and he was completely sober and stopped drinking. He's someone I'd definitely root for. That's such a story to come back from. Great competitor, too. I mean, obviously, he's a bit of a clumsy guy, but he's not, Josh level of bad. He's got some ability to him. He's just not the best challenger. Next up, we have Jenna Campono. And Jenna, she was one of the people she came back into the game with Tony very early on in the game. And from then on, she just kind of was in a good position, sort of. Obviously, her feud with Jemmy and then her feud with Camilla. Really, her only good ally in the game was Kayla. And she was able to make it to the end solely with Kayla. Obviously, Tory sort of came into play later on in the game and was sort of on their side. So Jenna played pretty well this season. I wouldn't mind to see her back again. She seems like a good competitor that needs a win. Next up, we have Kayla. And like I said with Jenna, she was one of the people. This was a season very much with her at the forefront. Obviously, she was in an alliance with Jenna, but she was more heavily focused on in that alliance. And yeah, Kayla, she was entertaining. She was a good character. I definitely would like to see her come back later in the future, so that's my thoughts on Kayla. Alright, we have the finalists now, starting off with Tory Deal. She was Rookie of the Season, as everyone called her, towards the end. She beat Marie in elimination, and she just kind of coasted her way through, jumping from alliance to alliance. She had her feud with Camilla, which I'll get to Camilla, but she was a fun, entertaining presence on this season. I'd like to see her keep coming back. Obviously, she was on Double Agents, went out early. But yeah, as long as she keeps coming back, I'll keep rooting for her. Next up, we have CT. I like CT. CT is one of my favorites that keeps coming back to the challenge. He's on Double Agents right now. He's doing pretty well. I'd like to see him keep coming back and coming back and coming back, because he's just like Bananas, like Devin. He can be the first boot. He can be the winner, as long as you get to see CT. He was good on this season, too. He came back into the game with Cara, Maria, and Jordan, and he got stopped by Customs before he was even able to be on the season, and he came into the game on, I think, episode 2 with Brianna, and I think there was an alternate on set for CT. I think it was Dylan from Real World Go Big or Go Home. Same season as Ammo and Kayla. But CT, I'm glad he was able to make it on this season. This season wouldn't be as good without CT. No season as good without CT, honestly. Next up, we have Cara Maria Sorbello, and Cara Maria came back into the game with CT and Jordan at the finale, and she was an entertaining presence on the show. She got kind of annoying at points. That might just mainly be due to Cara Maria being in an alliance with Camilla, which I hate Camilla, so Cara Maria naturally got some of that. And also, she was kind of unforgiving towards Jordan, which I get it. Jordan's not the best person, but she held a grudge for a while that CT didn't even hold, so that's kind of something. But yeah, overall, Cara Maria is someone I'd like to see back. Last time she was on was War of the Worlds 2, so I'd like to see her back in a future season and see if she can still bring it. Alright, next up we have Derek Kaczynski. This guy, he took a 10-season break and then came back on this season. This is actually the last season he's been on as of now. I'd like to see him back, but I don't think he's going to come back, mainly just because I think he wants to put the challenge behind him, which that's fine. But he was an entertaining presence on this season. He was a very rootable guy. I rooted for him, and it's sad that he didn't win, but that's just how it had to be. Oh, next up we have Camilla, and she was terrible this season. I don't like Camilla. Obviously, her fight with Leroy was terrible. Her whole racism towards Leroy. Then you get to just the complete intimidation game, I want to call it, because she just thought everyone was scared of her when really towards the end they were just fed up with her. Tory, Jenna, Kayla, they just weren't having it anymore, and Camilla somehow kept persisting that she was right, which she wasn't. I don't know, Camilla's one of the most frustrating people, like, ever. She's just that type of person, and I hope she never comes back, and looks like she never will, but good. And then we have Jordan. Like I said, Jordan came back into the game at the finale with CT and Cara Maria, and Jordan was good this season. I mean, he did have some problematic things, obviously, with his Down syndrome comment towards Jemmy. That wasn't great, but yeah, Jordan, someone who I think should probably come back again, because he seems to have grown a lot as a person since then, so I want to see him come back, see what he's got, see if he can really live up to what he was back in the day when he won 3 times. That's impressive, and yeah, let's see if he can win a 4th time. Bring him back, MTV, bring him back. Alright, now we have my awards to get to. We have the Gold Star Award. Now, the Gold Star Award is something I will give out every time I review a season. It's just going to be towards a person I think is worthy of a Gold Star. Whether I like that person, or whether they did a good job on the season, it's just someone I want to award. So, 3 nominees are Jordan, Derek, and Tory. Jordan played a good game this season, so did Derek and Tory. They were all pretty entertaining on this season, but I think, without a doubt, the Gold Star has to go to Derek. I mean, he came back from a 10-season vacation, and he came back and crushed it, and he beat Johnny Bananas in elimination, and I just think that's worthy of a Gold Star in and of itself. So yeah, Derek Kaczynski gets the Gold Star Award this. Then we have the Dumpster Fire Award. Let's not even beat around the bush here. It goes to Camilla. Please refer to what I said about her previously, but she sucks. Now we have the Underrated Award. This is a reward I give to someone who is just underrated and didn't get enough appreciation in the actual season. So our 3 nominees here are Britney, Marie, and Ammo. The award goes to Ammo. Yeah, like I said, Ammo doesn't really get talked about a lot. I mean, Britney and Marie still get talked about, but Ammo really doesn't get talked about. So, yeah, award goes to Ammo here. That's really it for the video. I'll be reviewing Vendettas, and I'll be reviewing Final Reckoning when I watch those. So, that's it for the Dirty 30 review. I'm not looking forward to Final Reckoning, but I am looking forward to Vendettas, so we'll see how that happens in the future, but for now, that is the end of the video. Goodbye.